10 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Wednesday morning, the 20th day of March, 2024. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Michlin. Thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we broadcast at 103.3 FM, and anywhere else on the planet, you can always tune us in by going to our website, which is ksje.com. We also want to welcome our viewers who are joining us this morning. Video of the program is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel this morning. We're glad that you are all with us today because coming up in the next few moments, we are talking about the upcoming Farmington Jazz Festival. It's happening in April, which will be here before we know it because here we are almost at the end of March, if you can believe it. My guest coming up in the next few moments, so stay tuned for that right here on KSJE. Then, of course, later on this hour, we'll be checking in with Ron Price. He is here with another lesson about life in the sandbox. Ron is talking about volunteerism today, so we hope you'll stay tuned for that. Then, of course, Mick Hess will take over the radio station, Roving with the Arts, our weekday classical music program. That is coming up after the news, beginning at 9:06 on KSJE, and it's Wednesday, so that means right on Four Corners coming up today at 10:30 a.m., our local and regional author program. Host Delcherie Gladden is hosting that program, and her guest this week is Daniel Mueller, talking about some of his short stories, a compilation called Anything You Recognize. That is coming up today at 10:30 on KSJE as well. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, currently 34 degrees under sunny skies on this Wednesday morning, and we are expecting a partly sunny day today with a high of 55 degrees in Farmington. Partly cloudy skies tonight, the low 35 degrees, and then tomorrow more sunshine and a bit warmer temperatures, the high 59 on Thursday. Sunshine and near 60 degrees on Friday, and overnight lows in the mid to upper 30s. I'll be back with my guest to talk about the upcoming Farmington Jazz Festival right after this. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The caregivers of San Juan Regional Medical Center are committed to bettering the quality of life, health, and care of individuals, families, and our communities. Life is their sacred trust. Better is their mission. Here is their home. San Juan Regional Medical Center, improving the health of the Four Corners since 1910. Back in Studio A with my guest this morning, as I mentioned, to talk about the upcoming Farmington Jazz Festival. And when you say jazz, you can only think about one person pretty much, and that's Delbert Anderson. Delbert Anderson is here. Good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Scott. Thank you.
First, I'm excited that you're here. Second, I'm excited that you were in town long enough to get here. So welcome. Thank you for being here. You've been a busy, busy person for a long time. Also joining us this morning, Flo Trujillo is here from the Northwest New Mexico Arts Council. Flo, always great to have you here as well. Good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Thanks for being here. Delbert, let me come back to you and talk about the Jazz Festival. It is set for April 13th. That's an upcoming Saturday. And talk to me a little bit about the folks that you have gathered up to come and perform for us here in Farmington.
Yeah, well, we have a variety of artists coming. The headlining artists are the Julia Keefe Trio. Mm-hmm. She's out from Brooklyn, New York area. And we also have a group called Indigifem, who is from Santa Fe. We will also feature, our local group here, the Delbert Anderson Quartet, and also the third hour from our Build a Band program here in Farmington, the Civic Winds Jazz Orchestra, and the San Juan Jazz Society combo. They will all be performing at the Jazz Festival. Nice.
And this is going to be outdoors, right?
Outdoors.
Weather permitting, we're hoping, fingers crossed.
Correct. Yeah. Sort of our backup venue is Inspired Moments,
Mm-hmm.
but also earlier, before any of the performances start, I believe at 12 to 2 at Inspired Moments, there'll be a workshop featuring the indigenous band leaders of the headlining artists, and also Ferdy Sarim, who's bringing a great program with digital wellness, I believe,
nice.
Featuring students from this area.
And the workshop is designed mostly for other maybe budding musicians or jazz lovers, or who would you say?
It's for the public in general.
Anybody.
Anyone can go. I believe they're going to be sharing a lot of sort of healing moments, how healing relates to jazz and improvisation.
Okay.
And just various melodies that sort of our Farmington youth can improvise over. So
Right.
it's also an activity, sort of.
And admission free?
It is completely free.
Completely free.
Yep.
Okay. For the workshop and the festival.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
And that's another big deal because I don't know of a lot of other jazz festivals in the area, maybe that are a little bit been around for a while that are free.
Yeah, we were very fortunate this year. The Chamber Music America organization was sort of the leading cause of us having the festival because they were able to pay our headliners through a grant called the Presenters Consortium for Jazz. And the three venues that are sort of tied up with this jazz festival is Gallup Arts with Rose Eason in Gallup, New Mexico, Mark Lee Swanson with the Southwest Colorado Canyons Alliance in Dolores, Colorado, and sort of our lead presenter this year is with Flo Trujillo, the Northwest New Mexico Arts Council.
There you go. I'm holding up the poster because we're a bit technically challenged this morning, and so we don't have our normal ability to put up a digital poster. And as you can see from my shaky hands, I will never be a surgeon, but that's another story. Flo, thank you for being here again with the Arts Council. As Delbert mentioned, the Arts Council is a big part of this for a number of reasons.
Yes, one of the things we want to do is provide the fiscal sponsorship for the local jazz quartet and pretty much the San Juan Jazz Society. And that takes a lot out of having Delbert to run around and do a lot of little paperwork that he probably doesn't have time for. So it's an honor to be able to be connected with Delbert, and he's very internationally well known. But also to be able to connect with our Tri-Cities, which I call Gallup, and also out in Colorado as well. So it is a nice little preview for maybe the Telluride Jazz Festival, but we are indigenous, so I hope that everyone makes it out here, and we've got lots of other things going on in Farmington, so maybe that'll keep them here a while.
Well, that's true, and I was just going to ask you a little bit about some of the events that are in downtown Farmington, of which the Arts Council is a big supporter of, and having this right in the heart of downtown, right there at Main and Orchard at the bandstand, is a great central location, I think, for folks to come down and enjoy the festival and maybe explore some of the other things that downtown has to offer.
Absolutely. We've got some beautiful galleries downtown, and because we want to be an arts and cultural district, we also offer an art walk. So the art walk will be scheduled the week before. So if you're coming a little early, please come and join us. It's on April 5th, but we're really trying to get as many people here for our jazz festival as possible. The youth art market is another draw during our wonderful art walk, and we hope that we have a lot of young entrepreneurs that come out and want to sell and learn about money, maybe financial literacy, but if anything, gives them the opportunity to get a kickstart on how to make sales during the summer months.
Right. That's Friday, April 5th.
April 5th, and then followed the next week with the Jazz Festival and the wonderful workshop that we hope some of the kids will take part in as well.
Right, very true. Again, there's a little bit more information. And of course, you can see these posters and not so shaky hands by going to Facebook. I know you both have presence on Facebook. There's a Farmington Jazz Festival event on Facebook, so you can put that and remind yourself about this event that is coming up. And Delbert, I want to talk with you a little bit more about your career and just some of the other things that you've been doing. And of course, I think because you are who you are able to attract some of these folks to come to Farmington, New Mexico to take part in a jazz festival.
Totally. I am just very fortunate to run into just talented, not only just jazz musicians, but indigenous jazz musicians. I am involved with an all-indigenous big band that Julia Keefe runs, and so there's a network happening, and our network is just growing, and presenters, different venues are taking notice of that. And in fact, we're going to be premiering with the indigenous big band at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C.
Like a little venue.
Yeah, just a tiny one.
The Kennedy Center. Yeah, he says it so casually, like he does it every week. Okay, all right. Nice.
But
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's all coming together, and the part of that is being backed from a very strong community. Like Flo said, she's been a big help in all of the grants that we've been getting for Farmington, and for the past, it seems like 3-4 years now. I'm very excited for the location this year of the Jazz Festival being at the Orchard Park Plaza. One thing that we're going to be doing at 2:45 before the festival starts is we're going to sort of have a honor ceremony for a gentleman named Jacob C. Morgan, who was a resident of Farmington. He lived about 1879 to 1950. I would say the last 15 years of his life he lived in Farmington, and he would conduct these concerts at Orchard Park Plaza on Saturdays at noon. And so for us to have the Jazz Festival in Orchard Park, it's sort of we would like to honor his legacy and what he's done. He was a Diné Navajo classical trumpet artist who rumors are going around about him being a guest artist with the John Philip Sousa band. So he wasn't any joke. He was a pretty talented individual.
And that was kind of the standard of his day, right? To be in the Sousa band, you had made your mark.
Exactly. A part of that elite classical musicianship. He was there. He was very wealthy. He dressed in a suit, walked around Farmington.
I like him already.
He was there. And so it just made sense because of the grant with Chamber Music America. We were able to sort of we wanted to create more awareness for Jacob C. Morgan through having a headlining of indigenous artists.
Right. And you've been doing a lot of more research about him, I think, too, and finding out some of these other facts that maybe not everyone had known about them. I think there are some folks who'd never heard of him, which is unfortunate, but they are now because of the promotion and the recognition you're giving him.
Right. And we're working together. Actually, Flo and I are sort of tackling some of the things with the National Endowment of Humanities and sort of trying to, get funding to do a little more in-depth research. I do want to spoil a little surprise that I had with Jacob C. Morgan. I recently located his trumpet, which is over in Hamilton, Montana right now.
Okay.
And so it's huge because his music career wasn't necessarily known of, but it was definitely the most successful part of his life was his music career, and through just various different things, maybe jealousy or the government not really wanting him to shine, a lot of his records and history was sort of erased and destroyed. However, through little community events like this, especially the ones where he was from or a community member, we're definitely bringing his name back.
Wonderful. Very cool. And I think for folks who are residents of Farmington, who come to Farmington to shop or work or vacation, whatever the case may be, knowing that Orchard Plaza Park has been a place where music was performed for over a century, I think is another kind of cool thing, and that there was a bandstand there. That's not a new thing. That was constructed down in that location. There was music there for much of its history, if not all of its history almost.
Totally. It's just something that's also very special was, during that time, racism was a little high, and but Jacob C. Morgan was one of the only band leaders who was having a mixed race ensemble. So he was, we all heard of the Shiprock Navajo Nation band. Well, he had part in starting that. And also another sort of fun fact was, Morgan Lake was named after Jacob C. Morgan, just in our backyard. So there's a lot of history that I feel that, Farmington needs to learn. And he was doing, it seems like what Flo and I have been doing in the community, Jacob C. Morgan has been doing it ever since.
Right. He got it started, that's for sure. And shows, I think, the commitment and the friendship that goes back in history between the reservation and the border towns and things like that. There's always kind of been that relationship throughout history, it seems to me, for for good and maybe for bad, but hopefully mostly for good.
Oh, totally. And it goes far past, the arts. Jacob C. Morgan was also a carpenter, so he helped build a lot of buildings around San Juan County, schools, churches. He was a minister, but he was also the council of the Navajo Nation, or chair of the Navajo Nation Council.
Okay.
And so he had a lot of involvement of grazing rights, you name it. He's done it all. And I think
sounds as busy as you are.
and he, it's just great to make that connection and to bring just a ton of great artists and have them be a part of that legacy by performing.
Very true. So again, that will be a special kind of recognition at about 2:45, right before the festival kind of kicks off at 3.
Correct.
On that Saturday. That's what you're planning to do. So that sounds great. Flo Trujillo, thoughts about Jacob C. Morgan and being able to include him and a little bit of his legacy into the Jazz Festival?
What I really like about it is the humanities value behind this and the historic value to our community. Wanting to be an arts and cultural district, what a great place mark that we have there. Having a lake named after him is another one. But I like the story behind how Delbert found out about this. He told me, you know what, Flo, there was a cornice that was in our area, Navajo. And I said, oh, I did hear about that because I used to attend the historic walk that was downtown, and there was someone who was portraying Jacob C. Morgan. So when he talked about it, he had an old trumpet, and I remember asking him one time during the walk, well, can you play it? He says, no, this is just a sample.
There you go.
So it was kind of cool. But I never gave it much thought. Now when Delbert told me, I said, you know what? I forgot about that, and I'm glad that you're doing research on it. Let's go for it. And he's really created some great music. Also, to follow up with The Long Walk, which has gotten a lot of national recognition as well. He's very humble.
True, that's true, and that's a whole other topic I want to talk to Delbert about as well. And maybe if we have time today, we'll mention a little bit about it. But I want to have you back to talk more about that project because that's really special, and I think it's terrific. But the Farmington Jazz Festival happening on Saturday, April 13th, downtown, free at Orchard Plaza Park, and you're playing from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. You've got folks lined up.
Correct, featuring 6 bands.
Okay.
And, yeah, 3 of them are local, well, 4 local and 2 are out of town. So it's a great lineup.
And so for folks who are coming, I know you're planning the weather is nice, and it's always nice in Farmington, it seems. But I know you have to plan just in case. But are there going to be places for folks to sit? Should they bring their blankets or their lawn chairs, or are going to have some bleachers down there? What's the setup going to be like?
We actually will have some chairs that are going to be set up by the city of Farmington. We're always very grateful for their partnership, and they're also going to provide for us a hospitality tent and a meet and greet area for the artists as well. But please, if you feel more comfortable bringing your chair, go ahead and bring it. Sometimes being out in the park atmosphere is really much nicer.
Sure.
If you're sitting in something comfortable.
Right. But there'll be room for all of that, it sounds
Yes.
like to me, in the space that you've got. And so that will be another great part of this as well. And then the groups that are coming, Delbert, I mean, do they all have kind of the same sound, or are there a lot of different examples of jazz that we'll experience at the festival?
Yeah, I would say most of the groups are very jazz oriented, although they are within different genres and within jazz. However, I think sort of if any artist is a little far from the jazz idiom, it would be Indigifem. I believe they're more folk storytelling type Americana group, and they are just an incredible asset to this tour. But they also do a lot of work in the Santa Fe community here in New Mexico. I know they have a nonprofit that is just helping their community greatly, and they're very generous. So I'm very happy that they agreed to be a part of this tour.
Right,
this
nice
festival.
And I know I ask you this every time we see each other, and it is about your love of jazz and how much of an influence it is on your life. Of course, you perform it all over the world, quite literally, and it is a truly American musical art form, jazz. It started here in this country, did it not?
Right, and there's just been so many things going on with the topic jazz, recently, and it's really all about human expression. And I feel that when you put it in that type of context and sort of pair it with some of the hardships that humans went through, something very beautiful comes out of those moments. And that's where I believe, the jazz is real and created, and it's actually a very, healing tool. I've been doing a lot of workshops on how improvisation is a life skill. And so, I create examples of, like our ancestors, the Dene ancestors who went through the long walk, new songs, new food, new traditions, ceremonies were formed after that, hardship. And same with our sort of African American ancestors. Sort of the same thing happened. Through the hardships, out came these very spiritual songs, the idea of expression and improvisation, and just the entire sort of cultural clash that happened back then really made this great American music that we call jazz.
Right.
So
right.
I'm very excited.
I bet. I can tell. And it's great. And you share that with us, and so that makes us so appreciative of your talents and your ability to share this. And you've shared it, as I said, around the country. Can you talk just briefly about your travel schedule this past maybe 12 months of where you've been and where you've been performing? I can't imagine your frequent flyer mile balance, but it's got to be pretty good at this point. But you've been traveling all over the place, right? It seems to me.
I think within the last 2-3 months, we've been in the Vancouver area, Winnipeg, and also mainly staying within the U.S. this coming year. But we have some fun places coming up. Definitely the hot cities, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and even Hawaii, that we're going to do a month
Not too
sort of
shabby.
residency.
Not too shabby. Okay.
So, it's all over, and it goes back to having a great team behind us. We just, recently have a manager, Tim Wilson, who I've known since, 2018 or so. He was the executive director for Western Arts Alliance, which is a booking conference, and it seems like the team is just getting bigger and bigger naturally,
right.
organically. And I feel like the career is barely starting, honestly, but it's been going since 2013.
Right.
And the bandmates that were there at the beginning. It's something. It's definitely part of history and a legacy that we've created here in the Farmington area. And I always being asked if I'm always going to relocate, but I don't think I'm ever going to relocate. I think I'm here to stay, just because I think of this San Juan County as a personal practice room. There's no major city to copy or be influenced by or motivated by. It's just our beautiful landscapes, beautiful people like Flo and the organizations here, and it really sets us apart from everyone else.
Right, and we get the opportunity to enjoy some of those inspirations when you perform locally, which is great, which you will be doing here at the Jazz Festival. I have noticed, though, that I used to refer to you by the Delbert Anderson Trio, and now it's the Anderson Quartet, so that's growing too, isn't it?
Totally, yeah. Khalil Brown, drums, Evan Suter on bass, who's actually local from Durango, and Robert Muller on keys, and myself. That's the new group that's going into this 2024.
Gotcha, very good. And of course, you are still, I think, as you mentioned, inspired by the local area. So some of these performances will be songs that you have written or compositions that you have put together, or local compositions.
Yeah, totally. I have a great two pieces that were created from. One is called The Ark, that was created from Aztec, New Mexico, the monument. And it's a beautiful jazz ballad that sort of is a tribute to the landscape and indigenous people of those areas. The other one that's been getting noticed is Narbona, which was written for this boulder that you see going up Narbona Pass, sort of that street, Sheep Springs, New Mexico area.
Right.
So it's definitely around here. I haven't really done anything with the Badlands, but I think it's coming, sort of a land healing album. I've been kind kind of had that on the back burner, and so it'd be really nice to feature our just wonderful landscapes here.
Right. Very good. Let me remind everyone again about the details of the Farmington Jazz Festival, again, on Saturday, April 13th. The workshop begins at noon till 2 o'clock at the Inspired Moments Event Center. A lot of the performers will be at that workshop, and then the performances start at Orchard Park Plaza from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. in downtown Farmington. And in case it's bad weather, everything will move inside to the Inspired Moments Event Center, which is just down the street at 310 West Main in Farmington. The sponsors, Delbert Anderson, I mean, let's talk about some of those. KSJE is proud to be on the list this year, so thank you for that. And there's a lot more other companies to thank, I would think.
Yes, we do.
Oh, Flo, pardon me.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in.
Sure.
There are a couple of them. Art New Mexico is from Creative New Mexico and Santa Fe Basin, of course. Our Good Neighbor Foundation is one. The Kaufman, which is part of Julia Keefe Trio organization, where we have locally some serious business in the Unsicker law as well that is sponsoring, along with Waste Management, who have been very generous donors. So we're really very happy to continue this, and hopefully we can continue to keep getting some donations online. You just go to our webpage at http://nwnmac.org. There are a few things that maybe we can touch also is that the Jazz Festival, although that we have that wonderful kickoff, we will continue through the summer months. Every Wednesday night, if you want to enjoy some jazz, we have some great musicians that get together, including some student musicians as well, and known as the Third Hour, which are going to be part of the Jazz Festival. We will also, I don't know if Delbert wants to mention it or not, but we will have some very limited T-shirts that were designed for this event with a wonderful trumpet. So here's an opportunity to own one of those, very, very limited, because we didn't order a lot.
Okay.
But we really want to see how they work and really bring more attention to our community.
Nice. And those weekly jazz concerts are going to be downtown again
Wednesdays
as well?
at Orchard, and it usually kicks off at 6 to 8 p.m., usually dusk. We can get them out of there by 8, 9 o'clock. It's perfect.
Okay.
And if you have a musical instrument, come and join, right, Delbert? And I just love to listen to all of them work together.
Very good. Very wonderful. Well, that's another great thing to plan for this summer. So thank you for including that. And Delbert, before we go, just a couple more minutes. So briefly, and I know it's hard to maybe talk about this briefly, but would you mind just giving us a brief idea of your long walk project that you are doing and will be doing for several, weeks, years to come.
Years,
right?
Yeah. So the long walk, I call it 1,674 days. That is actually the duration from the first surrenders of the Diné people to the signing of the Treaty of Bosque Redondo. So it was basically 4.5 years. So in college, I created this composition to sort of commemorate the ancestors who endured the long walk. And that melody, although I didn't know I was going to bring it back from, this was probably 2005 or 6, and I brought that melody out. It had 50 notes total, and I spread it over 4.5 years. So it's actually rhythmically correct, and there's 50 different dates which musicians are to play the note. There's also an activity sheet next to it that has a bunch of facts and action items. It's all about creating awareness of the event. The sort of our own U.S. government history of the Long Walk seems to sort of portray the event as a celebration or something that was positive that happened for the Diné people. It's changing. It's taken a while, but some of those, the truth is beginning to come out, and that's what I wanted to create awareness about. So
nice.
It's 4.5 years long.
Okay.
It's very, very long. We started November 1st, 2023. I believe we are on our 4th or 5th note right now. The next note happens sometime in April, and I believe the Caliente Community Choir is going to actually join me for one of the notes in the near future. So it's turning into a community event wherever I'm at
sure.
or located,
Right.
at the
Right.
time. But it's such a great project that's already been receiving national attention. There's been people overseas like France and South Africa that are actually involved. So it's kind of cool sometimes seeing they post their notes like a whole day early.
Right, even though it's not. But
Right,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
totally. So yeah, it's been getting a lot of traction, but I'm really glad that this spotlight is shining on them right now. So.
Well, we want to shine more, and that's why we're going to have you back to talk more about this project in the coming weeks, hopefully. Not 4.5 years, but we will get you back when we can, when you're not flying somewhere more exotic. But that's wonderful. Really appreciate both of you coming in this morning. Delbert Anderson, Flo Trujillo, thank you for being here, and thank you for your support of the arts and allowing us to play a small role to help get the word out about the Farmington Jazz Festival on Saturday, April 13th in downtown Farmington. Thank you both very much.
Thank
you, Scott.
You bet. My guest this morning here on KSJE.